Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flickering Myth TV. My name is EJ Marino, and joining me is Alan Christian from the Flickering Myth podcast. Thank you so much for coming to the YouTube space for once.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
I'm just excited. Like, I think they get to hear us, and we are both animated people. So yeah, I think this would be fun. We have a fun new thing we're going to be trying is doing this on a hopefully regular basis. To be honest with you guys on YouTube. As much as we can, especially right now, this is a perfect time to start it. We also have a perfect subject for our first episode. We are jumping into HBO Max on day one. What is this, like launch day? This is a big deal for HBO Max because this is their first time. I don't want to say their first streaming service, but this is their first. What's the proper word? Conscious streaming service?
Good streaming service?
Good streaming service is a good way of putting it. Because they've had Go, they've had Now, they are now at Max. The difference is
the natural progression.
Yes. Go, Now, Max. It's literally the Pokemon evolutions. I love it. No, it's interesting that this is their first big venture into, like, I think an official one. They had Now, but it was so closed off, it felt like.
Yeah, it felt like a consolation prize for people that didn't have cable.
Same thing with Go as well. I have HBO, but I never was, like, my mom has DirecTV, so I'm like, hey, give me that login. So that's how I know Go.
Yeah, Go is what I've been using. They're not good apps. Like, they're okay, but on a technical level, they're kind of garbage. They've just always had so much trouble. Like, I remember if you were watching Game of Thrones,
the play button would be hard to hit sometimes. It was just like everything was weirdly done, but yeah.
Yeah, if you were watching Game of Thrones live when it was airing, miserable. You would just have to pause it and finish it an hour later. Just come back to it. And just the playback on it was always terrible. Just little technical features that every other streaming service had gotten right, Go and Now, which were pretty much the same, just failed at. They would have good quality picture, but that'd be about it.
Well, that's something I'm curious. We'll get into full-on HBO Max in a second. This is just kind of the first things. I wonder if HBO Max is going to do what Game of Thrones is doing and go live. Will it be on an hour after? We haven't had a show debut since HBO Max, and I mean, it's literally just today, but I think Westworld's over currently. So I think they have Lovecraft Country in August. I know they have a show that's going to be like a weekly show, so I'm curious if Max is going to do that. But now that we're talking about Max, you said it's an evolution. I think it's a good step up. What do you think of first day just looking at HBO Max? What's your feelings?
The HBO content is all there, with the exception of Tales from the Crypt, which I don't know what the problem with that is. That is the first big HBO show. I know it's a rights issue, but I don't know how the hell they can work out so much with so many others. They're business rivals they've worked things out with to have content on here.
Yeah.
And they can't sort out the rights to Tales from the Crypt. Whatever. At least we got Arliss.
Well, yeah, it's weird. It's just like they have like Brian Gumble there. Cool, thanks. But like, yeah, they don't have some of those classic 90s, because I don't even think they have like 90s Dennis Miller. I don't remember seeing that on there. Again, I
don't think so, but you know what? I'll take a hard pass on it. So.
Yeah, like, I'm not looking to watch that. But those are just things when I was quickly glancing through the HBO section, they have Oz, Sopranos, The Wire, Sex and the City. Those are going to get rewatched as well. Like, I tend to forget those HBO shows, the classic ones, are really rewatchable. And I think they're a bigger selling point than people will click with. That was something I think a big criticism I saw on first day is, much like Disney Plus, what's there to grab you first day other than Friends? Other than that, I like some of the original content. They only have like 4 new shows, but I like 2 of them. I like the Elmo show a lot.
The thing about it is, though, unlike Disney, where the hardcore Disney people own all of the things that are there. Not necessarily everybody owns The Wire that wants to watch The Wire again.
Same thing with the Turner Classic Movies section as well. There's some really good. When I saw The Brood in there, I was just like, you have The Brood on HBO Max? Like, I saw on Bloody Disgusting, which is a horror website, I think they have almost 200 just horror films. Like, that's just the weird thing I've noticed with HBO Max is it's the most, just on first glance, the most niche, but the most widely appealed niche. Like Criterion Collection, we talked about it on the podcast. WWE, those are niche. Shudder as well. This one is like, well, come, be all you weirdos, come hang out with us.
But not everything's for you.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Some of the sections are a bit thinner than I expected them to be, but have enough variety to where it's okay still.
My section I noticed, which was the thinnest, it's in my notes, is the cartoon section. That Cartoon Network section is, look, I love me some Dexter's Laboratory, and I cannot wait to get into that rewatch. But like, after that, I'm not watching Flapjack, which Flapjack is a weird show. Any Cartoon Network person, it's a good show, but like, ugh.
Yeah. In fairness, a lot of that stuff's just past my time, but so I'm not really saying that the content itself is awful, but it is thin. It is a lot thinner than I thought it was going to be.
What I've noticed is I was playing around with a trial for Boomerang recently. Boomerang has Ed, Ed and Eddie, Courage the Cowardly Dog, all the Scooby-Doos. I think this is the same thing I feel about Disney or the DC universe. They're kind of hurting. The fact that HBO and Warner has split up their streaming services before today, I think kind of kicked them in the butt at launch, because where is the Justice League animated series? Where is those little things that I know are on DC Universe? Same thing with the ones that are on Boomerang. They should be here as well.
Look, I have DC Universe. I've had it since launch day, and it's good. Close it down and bring all that stuff over there, or leave it up and leave the comic section there.
This is
I'm cool with.
This is the death of it, though. I think they announced a comic book streaming service recently, because I think they're shutting it down.
Then close it down and just bring all that stuff over to Max.
Because there's a lot that's on there. I mean, trust me, I like that they have a lot of the Batman movies. They have Helen Slater's Supergirl on here. I saw that there, and I was like, ooh, that is a watch for me.
That movie's bad, but fun fact, and this is a fact, this is not an opinion, that movie has the best flying of any of those Superman movies.
Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing it. I mean, it also has Faye Dunaway, who is...
Yeah.
Come on. Like, post Mommy Dearest, I think that's a different Faye Dunaway. Like, that is her still being Joan Crawford. So, by the way, we have Joan Crawford in a Superman movie. I love it. But yeah, I like that there is some of those sections that are really cool, the Turner Classic Movies. I mean, Studio Ghibli's packed. Like, that section is
there yet, but that I'm looking to dig into, because I love a lot of those.
Only one I didn't notice a subsection for. I noticed Doctor Who is there. I didn't see the BBC subsection that they lightly promised, like with Top Gear and Luther and stuff like that. I didn't realize that. But I saw Doctor Who, which is a huge selling point. I think a lot of people don't realize that's going to be a big thing as well. It's all in one home.
Yeah, for some people, yeah.
I mean, you are both like, yeah, but I live with a Whovian stepbrother who is like, oh, you're watching it. I'm like, I'm not dealing with Eccleston. Sorry. But yeah, no, I'm curious of that, of when other things are going to be coming, because one of the major complaints that I've seen is they advertise some things that aren't here. I've heard Ed, Ed, and Eddie. They have a fandom that is very pissed. Yay for Ed, Ed, and Eddie. But South Park is the biggest one that I cannot believe is here on launch after being in all the commercials and all that.
Yeah, that is a little odd that they would advertise it like that. And they did put, and granted, in small letters, there was the not all titles available at launch on every ad, which I didn't notice it until like I watched one last week. I watched an ad for it, and I was like, oh, damn. And then I looked back, and yeah, it's been there the whole time. Just sneaking this by. We're
I get it at the same time. I don't want to say it's like the Disney Vault, but you have to like you can't just give me everything at day one, because in a month or two I'm done with the thing. So I don't mind things coming out, but I thought not having South Park was like a weird thing. It's like being like, oh yeah, we have everything, but like, oh, we don't have Game of Thrones for some reason.
Yeah. I
There
feel
was
like it
some
has to be a rights thing
I
that they're winding down, or
Comedy Central, maybe Hulu. I know Hulu has a lot of stuff, which Hulu
Mhm.
has Rick and Morty still. Rick and Morty's on here.
Yeah.
The Adult Swim section is interesting as well. I think there's some things missing. I love the Boondocks, but like, you know.
There's a lot missing from that I really wanted to dig back into, but they have all of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and I was on board with that. I watched an episode of that today.
Oh, perfect. See,
I watched the Randy Savage one.
oh yeah, that will be my venture is into some of that Adult Swim stuff, because I watched today two of the original shows. I'm not gonna watch the Anna Kendrick show. Sorry, I'm not.
No, poor Anna Kendrick.
I love her. She's a human
Yeah,
being.
she's great. She's just not. It's been a long time since she's been in anything that I wanted to watch.
I've heard this is cool. HBO, I see girls sometimes and think of the show Girls, and I like, no, I'm not doing that again. Tried that show, hated it. But yeah, so I saw they have a show on launch called Legendary, which is a competition reality show set in the ballroom community, which is a gay subsection that they dance and they do voguing and stuff like that. That was a huge, like, red flag in the best way possible of going, what are you doing, HBO? Like, seeing Elmo's talk show and a queer reality show next to each other, that was one of those things I saw with HBO Max going, you're doing something here. Because looking on first glance, looking at everything, and just those two examples of originals, they have the most variety I've ever seen on one of these. Netflix has zero kid stuff. If it does, it's a nostalgic Hey Arnold, sure. Disney has no adult stuff. This is that perfect mix, and I like that a lot. What do you think?
Yeah. I have a pretty hard hatred for HBO having Sesame Street. Anyway, that's it's public access stuff for children. I don't understand it, but you know, whatever.
Yes, I mean, I've mourned that loss the decade ago it happened, and it was so weird when it did, because again, it is a cool place to have an archive, because PBS will never have a streaming service, and they have archived all the seasons, which is so cool. I think that's really cool. And it's the original show. Elmo's a great talk show host. I said it in a tweet. He's better than Fallon and Gordon. So
not hard.
Yeah, it's not hard, but yeah, it's a cute show. It reminds me of the Muppets in the weirdest way, where like you see some of the behind the scenes stuff. So like Ernie's like working in like the director's booth, like, get the chickens out of here, and I'm like, damn, you get me. Like, it's that Muppet humor. Muppets, you get me. And it sucks that Disney owns them, so I never watch them.
Yeah, weren't they? Isn't Sesame Street also Jim Henson? How did that not?
It's much like the Marvel, the great Marvel sale of the '90s, where everyone got a piece of everything of Henson. Everything is splattered out with that company. So yeah, to kind of wrap this up, I wanted to get your feelings on where you think this will go. Do you see this having a year, 2 years? Especially if they expanding stuff, because like I saw a rumor that AEW, the wrestling company, would be making a home here. Maybe start WWE networking that and do your pay-per-views there instead of spending $50 on them. But yeah, I'm curious if you think this has a place to go, or if this is just going to be like, that was cool.
I don't know. This is a Warner under AT&T.
It's a more powerful Warner than I thought it would be.
Do what?
It's a more powerful thing than I thought it would be. I mean, AT&T got the Snyder Cut, not Warner.
That's true. This is, though, a company that is willing to abandon things a bit more. They're not quite Google, but you know, things don't work out and they pull back from them a good bit. But we'll see. They seem to be pretty committed to this, and it looks good. I mean, you can just keep fleshing this out. They own so much. I mean, all of entertainment is owned by, you know, Disney and AT&T at this point.
Yeah.
Disney, Warner, and Universal is over here with
Universal Comcast is like, hey,
hey.
coming eventually.
Yeah.
At least they're not Quibi.
What?
Quibi, the Katzenberg streaming service?
Oh, is that a Katzenberg thing?
Yeah, and guess what? It failed.
Of course it did. It looked awful.
Yeah, and it's Katzenberg. Come on, he's good at like a day of work.
I don't know. It has a lot of potential. It has a lot of potential, and this is the best launch for a streaming app that I've seen in a good long time. They actually made sure that they had features, just little technical features, little quality of life features that even Disney ignored for a good long time. The Disney Plus app launched, and it was fine, but it was riddled with just like, oh, we didn't even think of these basic features.
Yeah, it was bare bones. This is so fleshed out, like with the categories, the subcategories, like you said, the playback features, which is so dumb. This has a 15-second rewind, which Disney did not have for a little bit either. Yeah. So little stuff like that's awesome.
Yeah, I spent most of the morning downloading it on every one of my devices and checking it on browsers and everything. I put it through the technical paces. And it's great. Like I said, I watched the first episode of Watchmen across like 4 or 5 different devices, and it just picked right back up, and it worked. And that is, Disney Plus did not do that at first. Just little things like that. They seem to have actually paid attention, and it works better than the other HBO apps ever did. So,
At this point, we're just kind of asking for functional things.
Yeah.
And it works, and it's clean. I like a clean aesthetic, and it's clean, easy to navigate. That's all I wanted.
Well, the thing is they have the content, and they have all the potential in the world to put more and more content on there. So that's not really what I was worried about. What I was worried about was it being a piece of shit app, and it's not. So
yeah,
I'm satisfied with it, and I get it. No additional charge. I already have HBO, so
yep. I have DirecTV Premiere. They gave it to us, which I was going to kind of ask you. Neither one of us were like business majors. How are they making money on that? Is it just for we have a lot of numbers kind of thing, which seems to be sometimes Netflix's thing? Is like, we're in bankruptcy, but we have 1 billion people watching, and so I'm curious of that.
That's a good question. I think this is more of a move for the future than we're going to make a whole bunch of money right now. Yeah. I think they're trying to get ahead of the curve on media and be where they need to be, because I don't see where the money is. They are quite literally giving this away with certain internet packages. I don't know. And we discussed it on the podcast this past week. They're giving $20 to $30 million to Zack Snyder to finish his cut of the Justice League. That no matter how good his cut of the Justice League is, it's not going to bring in $20 to $30 million of revenue. It's not. It's got to be part of a long game.
Yeah. And I think it will be. Again, I had my feelings of putting the Snyder Cut, I think, is a good idea for morale, but that kind of goes back to what you're saying is they're really building, they're really taking their time to build those building blocks. Take that loss. Again, I go back to the WWE Network. They lost a lot of money that first year because they stopped doing the pay-per-views, but now they're kind of back to, they're not making money, but they're back to evening out to what they should be. And I think HBO would have that thing. I think once we get a show that's popular and we see it on that Sunday night and how the app handles it and that new era, I think that would definitely show that it's there. I want this to have a good future. It has the content that I like, at least.
Yeah. It would have been nice for them to have jumped on something like this before, say, the last season of Game of Thrones, and really had something that was going to hook people in. I'm not saying that was a good.
I would have just feared people canceling subscription.
I'm saying you would have gotten people in there, and there is enough. There's enough value proposition just in HBO itself that if you would hook people in just with that show, a lot of them would have just stayed for other things.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm not sure what's going to be. I think they know they don't have a big hook yet for this, other than just being a lot of content. They don't have a show that's selling this app, so that's why they're kind of doing everything like, oh, you already got HBO, you're in. You know, you've got AT&T Internet, you're in. You know, like I think that's why they're doing that, because they don't have the big hook yet, so they're going to go ahead and get everybody in their little walled garden and then just try to drip feed them new stuff.
I like that. Let HBO drip feed us stuff. I'm fine with that. I will watch this for a little bit. I'm curious if other people like this. So I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you have HBO Max? If you have a Roku or Fire Stick, you do not have HBO Max. If you're in the UK, you do not have it either. Sorry about that. Yeah, weird stuff. That Roku, which, going back to your old thing, that was in the fine print. They did say, hey, it ain't gonna be there. Surprised by that, though.
They need to work that out very quickly.
Those are big markets. We make fun of Rokus and Fire Sticks all the time of like, oh God, who uses them? The statistic came out, 20 million people use them. Yeah.
A lot of people use those and only those. So yeah, they need to get that worked out. That is a revenue stream that they're just going to absolutely be missing. Here's my question for you before we get out of here with this.
Yeah.
HBO is a premium brand and has built up a pedigree with all their content. Does this devalue that in any way? Having it right next to cartoons and all these other products.
HBO will always be a prestige brand. I think it will always have the name. I think maybe 10 years ago, this would have been like my Wire is next to my Looney Tunes. How dare you? But HBO's always had that. They have HBO Kids. Like, they've always had, the different channels. Which this is just the future version of having the different channels. I think it's, again, if they were the first streaming service, yes, but Netflix is at the goddamn Oscars now. Disney Plus has like The Mandalorian. We're in a different era where streaming services are a little bit more respected. Yeah. I think I can definitely see where you're saying, and it is weird. It is weird to see all of this together, and the mystique of HBO, what it once was, is now just a streaming service. But if it could be kick-ass, it is back to the 80s HBO where they changed the game. Like, no one was doing what HBO was doing back then. Like, I was looking up stats of them just doing like the Thriller in Manila fight, the first people to broadcast that.
Yeah.
They could really do something futuristic here with it. So I think we're in a good spot with it. I don't think we're going to be shading it, because I could watch Looney Tunes and Sex and the City at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
Though, where's my real sex? HBO Max. Give me my 90s.
Oh, God.
Yeah, where's my taxi cab confessions? Give it to me, HBO Max.
Oh, no. I mean, do it. Put it on there. Oh, if this was the podcast, that'd be a digression, but...
No. Oh yes, they'll probably demonetize me for saying taxi cab or something on here. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed having you here, Alan. This was really fun. We have some more of these coming up soon. So, all right, guys, tune in. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth, because we make videos like this every single week. You get to see me do my little dance. All right, and give us a thumbs up, because YouTube takes those way too seriously. All right, guys, let's talk about HBO Max down below.